Hi, this is Les-Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me the NFL has actually snuck up on us as far as the Combine is concerned, even though Browns fans usually treat it like it's the AFC Championship game leading up to the Super Bowl, which, of course, is the daddy of them all, the NFL Draft. In all deference to my friends Ken Carman and Anthony Lima, I have a theory. The only excitement for the Combine and the Draft is when a quarterback or a trade is involved in the first or second choices. The Browns are aligned for the 10th pick, most probably a lineman, and if that lineman does turn out nearly as good as Joe Thomas did, the real postseason could be closer. But here's the best way to guarantee a trip to the playoffs. Right now they got 6 teams. The owners want to make it 7. I say forget that. Skip it all and make them all eligible with the play-in games held in Dayton. Seems to work for college basketball. Why not the NFL? Bud Shaw is here. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Monday night. It's a brand new week. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into its 24th consecutive year, exclusively on cleveland.com. Bud Shaw is here. We play a little game. It's sort of like musical chairs. People get to guess what day of the week you'll be here.
It's like a Where's Waldo thing?
Yeah.
Kind of like.
Where's Bud? Oh, it's Monday. It must be him.
When is Bud coming out? So Monday this week.
Yeah.
It's usually Tuesday.
Yeah.
But I like that. It kind of has that feel of being a leadoff hitter in a big game.
Right.
Speaking of which,
yeah.
Is Frankie Lindor going to lead off or not? We keep hearing that he's not going to
I heard second, then I heard third. What?
I saw Kenny Lofton weigh in and say, I've been saying for years that he should be batting third. Is that because he doesn't want him challenging any of his leadoff records?
Yeah, probably. I have a question, an analytics question. That, they have, over the last 20, 25 years, they have new statistics, new initials, all kinds of new stuff. Mm-hmm. Those aren't supposed to help bring younger people into the game, is it?
I wouldn't. Well, there's a lot more fantasy league people who watch baseball now and do it for that reason, who are probably more into that when they're putting their teams together than we were.
Good
for
point.
Sure.
But here's what I thought. When they started talking about analytics, and they didn't know what they were talking about, they threw it out there and said, I think analytics in the beginning, if I'm not mistaken, was how they shift the defense. Would you agree that that's how it started?
Yeah, I think that was part of it. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you think, if we throw us back into the time machine here and go back to 1990 when analytics started coming in, wouldn't you have thought that after about 3-4 years that the lineups would change? In other words, basically the formation of the lineup is the same today as it was 50 years ago, 70 years ago, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I mean, you still have your power hitters are somewhere in the 3, 4, 5 range generally.
So wouldn't you think that what analytics would have shown you is that there's 2 separate lineups. There's the 1 through 4, then there's the 5 through 8, and even you take Franmil Reyes, for example, who hit a home run.
So you would like to repeat what you've done 1 through 4, 5 through 8?
It's hard for me to believe the way analytics have come about that you wind up strategically with the same basic type of batting order. Leadoff guy, get you on, move him over, Omar Vizquel. 3, drive them in, 4, hit home runs.
There isn't as much playing for a single run as there was all those years ago. So I think that's changed a little bit. The second place hitter is not necessarily this guy who's hitting second is not necessarily a guy who's great with the bat and is looking to hit behind runners.
Yeah, or bunt the ball because they don't bunt. However, was it Tony La Russa or was it Earl Weaver who put the pitcher in batting 7th or 8th?
Yeah, I didn't remember that. Is that
on La Russa?
Well, La Russa was pretty one of the early guys who had his head buried in the stat sheet when he was managing games. And I'm sure there's a lot more of that goes into effect now, and a lot of it due to Paul DePodesta, right?
Yes, from Moneyball.
Not only him, but when he went to Moneyball. And, there's that famous scene from that movie where he's sitting there with those old-time scouts and talking about on-base percentage and why these guys that they think are not valuable players really are. And they look at him like he's got two heads. So I think any organization uses that stuff. But if they had Albert Bell, they would bat him fourth no matter what, right?
Or maybe you can make an argument to bat him first, because the lineup will come around to him more often.
Yeah, but it'll come around him without runners on base. You would think if you're
batting him after the ninth batter.
Yeah.
So all right. So here, in response to your question, take Frankie Lindor, take the Indians team around him, because you wouldn't say in an ideal lineup. What you have to do is see how it would fit with the Indians. You got this guy, he can steal bases, he's going to hit 300, he's going to hit 30 home runs. Those numbers about right? Mm-hmm. Okay, where do you put that guy?
I agree with Lofton in this case. I do think that he's probably a number 3 hitter. I mean, what he produces, to me, seems like a lot more Carlos Baerga-like in Baerga's prime than it was Omar Vizquel-like.
I would agree with that.
So that, Baerga was that number 3 hitter in that lineup.
So where does Carlos Santana go? You don't want him second. You want him fifth?
Who do you want fourth?
Well,
depending, I think you could.
Babe Ruth.
Well, yeah, okay. On this team, on this roster right now, Franmil Reyes, I guess. You don't have Puig, you don't have Encarnacion anymore.
Look at this from yesterday. Franmil Reyes hits a home run. Mm-hmm. Then the new guys. A couple of the new guys. Delino DeShields 0 for 2 with a walk. Domingo Santana 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. Greg Allen 0 for 2 with a walk. The 0 for 2s or 0 for 3s don't seem to bother anybody.
No, I mean, sir, you're not talking about just at this time of year. You're saying
in general.
In general, no. It's almost like they look at our guys hitting into 2 outs. It's like the strikeout now. We used to think it was the worst thing you could do at home plate. Yeah, you put
the ball in play because somebody may miss the ball and throw it away.
And now it's not always looked at the same way.
Remember when Francona would switch Santana, sometimes leading off, sometimes batting third? Yeah. And he would do that based on who was pitching.
Yeah, and that just wouldn't have happened 15, 20 years ago. So, I mean, we had Terry Francona at Tribe Fest, and we were talking more about the 3 have to face 3 batters or the end of an inning.
I'm guessing he didn't like it.
He did not like it one bit. When we got Mike Chernoff to talk about it, he seemed a little more understanding of what baseball's trying to do with saving time. And I think, I did a thing the other day. We were helping a friend raise some money. It was Adam the Bull and myself, and he was saying, look, if you're a baseball fan, you're a baseball fan. You don't care about the time of the game. You don't care about it's slow moving, and that's who they should be catering to. And I don't totally disagree. I will just say that there are times when I'm watching, not when I'm there, but when I'm watching at home during these prolonged at-bats and pitcher changes and guys stepping out, it does become...
bottom of the 6th? Come on.
It does become a little bit of a drag, and I don't know what the answer is. Is it going to save that much time? I mean, if we're really looking to save time, can we get the bullpen carts again and get those guys in a cart and get them to the mound as fast as possible? No, because they want commercials.
How about to make you think that you're going to save time by instead of starting the games at 7:10, start them at 7:01?
Yeah. Well,
because people go to the game to be there at 7. They're not going there to be there at 7:10.
Yeah, well, they like that lead-in on TV, so they get to run some commercials before they get too far.
How dare them try to make money?
I know.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw is with us. We're halfway through the first segment, which means we must be just in time for an opening comment.
Well, how's this for a segue? Speaking of baseball, Les... since last season, the Indians have traded Trevor Bauer and Corey Kluber, and so deep were their reserves in starting pitching and so acute were their needs elsewhere, they weren't really looking to get younger starting pitching in return in those deals. While the rotation remains a strength, injuries to Mike-Clevinger and Carlos Carrasco this spring underscore how quickly a strength can be negated. This organization has lately and consistently developed good young pitching. But if you lose Clevinger or Carrasco or Shane-Bieber for any length of time, winning the division becomes much, much more difficult. This is one of the best front offices in baseball in my mind, but I'm not sure I'd pick the Indians to beat the Twins yet in 2020. If the roster is better than last year, in my estimation, it's only slightly better. And my overall sense is that the pitching will not only have to be healthy, but great for the Indians to get back to where they were even 2 years ago. So right now, Les, I'm picking them second. 88 wins. And I haven't been wrong since, well, the last time I predicted anything.
You don't think Chicago's even more improved?
I do think they're more improved. I just think they're really young yet.
Yeah.
And I think, listen, I think Francona's one of the best managers in the game. I think the infield looks pretty good. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Yes. And
starting rotation still looks pretty good. But, I mean, just look at what they've lost over last year. I mean, you lose Bauer and Kluber. And I know Kluber,
you don't know what
Kluber wasn't Kluber last year.
Yeah.
But that's, those are two guys that ate up a lot of innings. And it's going to be, incumbent on this group now, and who showed themselves, I thought, fairly well last year in what was a pennant race, to repeat that. And that's not always the easiest thing to do.
Well, they actually got pitching from everybody. I mean, Savali and
Bieber,
Plesac and so on.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Rodriguez, not so much, but
yeah.
I mean, you bring up three guys like that, you hope one of them does real well. You don't expect all three, and for the most part, the three did well.
Yeah, when Adam and I were talking about the Indians, we talked about the Lindor thing, and he thinks the money is there for them to sign him, right? And he said,
"Am I right? Is it right that he thinks that?" Yes.
Yeah, and we debated that a little bit, because I think, I've heard this people say, if they sign Francisco Lindor, the Dolans have a free pass now with the fan base. The fan base will never be able to criticize anything they do. And I'm thinking, okay, well, how about a year later, if Clevinger ends up not being able to get signed because he wants $25 million a year, and Bieber wants $18 or $20 million a year when it's time for him, and Jose Ramirez knows that he's on a team-friendly contract right now, and he wants more. And, what happens then? Are fans going to go, oh, yeah, just let those guys go. We've got Frankie Lindor. I don't think so.
I used to think, not that long ago, that had they won in 16 or maybe before that, somewhere along the line, that would have bought them the free pass. But, no, we're so used to being edgy and nervous about these things. It might buy you a pass for a little bit, but not a long time.
Yeah, and I think the flip side of that is that I think they'll get slammed by the fan base if they don't.
If they don't.
But I'm not sure.
But not commensurate.
I'm not sure they sign Lindor and say, "Oh, phew, boy, we're home free now with the fan base for the next 8 years." I don't.
Go to that booth and buy tickets right over there. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Did you know the Ohio Lottery has paid out over $1 billion in winnings over the past 6 months? People are winning in record numbers. Winning is happening all over the state of Ohio. Play an Ohio Lottery game and play it today. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine, with new content posted each and every day. When we come back, we'll take a look at some early free agents who are actually being linked to the Cleveland Browns. Bud Shaw and I continue exclusively on cleveland.com. More Sports and Les Levine continues in a moment.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions, or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
This portion of More Sports and Les-levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. Birthdays. Do you have a Hannes Wagner baseball card? Rookie card?
I don't.
Philip, my gas tank, that in 1947. Eddie Murray, former Indians slugger. Jeff Garcia, former quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. Mike Lowell and Floyd Mayweather, all born on the 24th of February. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Jake Trotter covers the Browns for ESPN. He has Jack-Conklin linked to the Browns, and we'll take a look. Conklin, 6'6", and 308 pounds, 25 years old. All 4 NFL seasons, all with the Titans, all rookie and all pro in 2016. Has seen the majority of his career at right tackle. 4 sacks allowed in 933 snaps, that in 2019. And it's a name we've heard a lot about.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they handle this. Do they spend a ton of money on a right tackle and then still have to find a left tackle in the draft?
That seems to be the obvious. That seems to be what they're leaving himself toward.
Well, yeah, if you can find, that left tackle who will, be here for 10 years
Joe
protecting
Thomas.
Baker-Mayfield.
He could start again.
You might need him.
Joe, remember when Joe was drafted and they had to find him out in the lake? He was fishing.
Yeah. I respected that. He was like, he wanted to spend the day with his dad, right? On his huge day in his career. And, for the most part, these, when you do get these guys in New York, they go up and they say the most predictable things on their way up the stage and usually afterwards. So, I like that idea of a guy who cares more about his family than he does about the fame.
I love that story that Austin Carr always tells about. He was drafted #1 in the NBA. He was still at Notre Dame, right?
He was still at Notre Dame. Class or whatever,
in class.
Right?
Somebody knocked on the door, walked in, and said, "The Cleveland Cavaliers." He probably had no idea who Bill Fitch was. He's from Washington, so I guess to drive to Notre Dame, he had to come past Cleveland.
Yeah, somewhere along the way.
He knew that, but that's the way it was back in those days. So that's Jake Trotter saying Conklin is being linked. How about it looks like they want to sign offensive guys and give up on some defensive guys. Is that what you get?
Well, I just think some of these defensive guys that we're talking about are just so overpriced for what their production was last year.
Sounds like Olivier-Vernon.
And Kirksey. And every time a new regime comes in, they look at that, right? They look at, here's what these guys were paid. Now let's look at them on film. And this guy was hurt. This guy didn't perform as well. So I think they start looking at those kind of things. I mean, if they come back and if they suggest, hey, if you're willing to take a pay cut, we'll be interested in having you back next year, then the onus is on those guys to decide, will they take it or will they go out on the market and get less than what the Browns are offering?
I just wonder if there's been any regime that has come in and said, no, we're good, we have a nice roster.
We like the job that the last guys did. It's never been to the extent that it was when Dorsey came in last. I mean, how many guys walk in the door and say, we're going to bring real football players in here? If ever you doubted what the divide was between the two sides of the building, that quote encapsulated it. And now, of course, Haslam goes totally back in the other direction. We've got Andrew Berry back. With Dee Podesta now running the show, and we know that this new coaching staff has been told that analytics are going to be a big part of what they need to embrace here. So here we go again.
I don't think we mind that they come in and they make changes and they look at the things you're talking about. I think we mind that it happens so quickly and so often.
Yeah, and it's like such an extreme. It's not like, well, we found out that John Dorsey, we can't trust him to hire a coach because look at what he did. He hired Freddie Kitchens, even though he had Kitchens in the building and should have known everything about him before he agreed to or endorsed him for that job. Well, okay, we're not happy with Dorsey, but we're going to bring Ozzie Newsome in. No, they always go like, we're not happy with the football guy, so now we're going to bring in guys that are more analytics driven. And if that doesn't work, now we'll go way over here again and bring in another football guy. I mean, I just think that's the biggest problem, is that Haslam has not only changed, he's been all over the map with every change.
Right. Well, now the word comes out that Seattle has signed Alonzo Highsmith and
Elliott Wolf. Yeah.
And sign them right now for the draft, but I would assume they'll find a place in the front office for them.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I didn't see that in particular, but consultants for the draft. Hey, listen, I'm not going to act like I've got sources in every office in Berea, but I know for a fact that Highsmith was not interested in staying here and working with Dee Podesta, calling shots over on that side of the building. I don't think it was a personal thing. I just don't think he believes that analytics should be the driving force of a franchise.
All right, Pro Bowl defensive end Everson Griffin has opted out of his contract, and some thought maybe the Browns would go after him.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this depends on what will they do with Olivier-Vernon. But certainly, when coaches leave organizations, they tend to pull some of the guys that were there that they really liked for various reasons.
And on the other hand, Vernon is owed $15 million for 2020, but no penalty if he's released. And I think that's the key factor here. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Les-Levine here for Northeast Factory Direct. And you've been hearing me talk about Northeast for quite some time now. Many of you have been there, and you know what? If you haven't been there, what are you waiting for? They've got high-quality name-brand furniture and hot tubs for about half the price of the fancy retail stores. Let's talk about kitchen cabinets. Unless you've done a cabinet remodel, your kitchen is probably a little outdated. You've seen some of those nice cabinets your friends have, and you know the ones with the full range of drawer glides and cushioned drawers and doors. Well, you may have thought that was way out of your price range, but if you shop at Northeast, you can get those same cabinets for so much less. Check them out at northeastfactorydirect.com and find out what we've been talking about for so long now. West 140th Street in west side of Cleveland, Lakeland Boulevard, the old B&B Appliance Building in Euclid, and Freeway Drive, that's in Macedonia, which means you're covered east, west, and south. northeastfactorydirect.com. When we come back, we'll talk about some defensive prospects in the draft. Bud, you know how well I get into this mock draft coverage? You do?
Your name is synonymous with, or is it anonymous with?
Bud Shaw with us. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Celebrate NatureStone's 30-year anniversary with a free NatureStone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making NatureStone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say it's not just a floor. Wow, it's NatureStone.
Got your Ohio Lottery pick 3, I see.
Yup. Those glasses are hip.
Hip? Most people think I'm a square. But what's wrong with that? A box bet can increase your chances of winning. And what is a box? A square. There are so many ways to play. There's coming out the wazoo. Oh, shucks. Look at me yammering on. Put a lid in it, Picky Ricky. Play the Ohio Lottery Pick 3 today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Time now for a How Come Quickie, Bud. It's short and sweet, which I know you like so much. How come I keep having to be told where Reminderville is?
It's pretty strong. Was that yours?
Covers it all. Well, it was our writers, our staff writers. We got together and worked it out. You know, you come up with an idea like that and you have to change one word or maybe the spelling.
Yeah.
The spelling's important.
I like that one. That was, it was over quickly. And
as opposed to it was done quickly. Did you like the one without giving it away? Did you like the one our staff came up with just before showtime?
Yeah, although we needed to run that one through the censors, so we still haven't heard back from them
But
yet.
it was funny, we must have.
I'll say this, Les. Yeah. If it's late February, it's time for what?
Mock drafts.
Mock drafts and the scouting combine.
Which starts tomorrow, and Dave Bacon is going to be in Indianapolis, and he'll be checking in throughout the night, and we'll find out.
And this is the time of year when we get to hear how big quarterbacks' hands measure.
All right. You have an example.
So Joe Burrow apparently measured 9 inches, which is kind of the minimum that they like to see.
Who would decide that?
I have no idea, but they like quarterbacks, especially in bad weather climates, who are going to have to deal with slick footballs, to be able to hold on and have that. So Joe Burrow, if I think I had his Twitter feed correct, because there were 218,000 followers, so I believe that's him. He joked that he's now going to have to step away from the game because the football will be flying out of his tiny hands, and he asked for thoughts and prayers.
For his hands?
Yes, for his hands.
Well, if you're praying, you're going like this.
They actually had some guys talk about realizing that they would probably measure on the low end of that and trying to stretch their hands ahead of the combine.
How'd that work?
I have no idea how that works. I don't know if there's a rack for such a thing.
And by the way, we talk about analytics and all that other stuff. You talk about cold weather cities and all that. Mm-hmm. We had perfect weather for football. We had no game in Cleveland that had anything at all to do with the weather.
And your chances of the weather being pretty good are better when you don't play in January.
That's a good
point,
especially a home game.
Yeah, at some point that's going to have to change, you would think.
All right, so if the Browns are looking at linebackers, there are some they could target in the draft. Here's some names you're going to hear, and here's something about them. Isaiah Simmons, a linebacker from Clemson. There you see him, 104 tackles, 16 for losses, and he was the ACC Defensive Player of the Year.
The question I think a lot of people ask us is, are they almost certainly going to take a tackle? And when I hear people discuss that, the people who know the league and know the college football draft, they say that the one guy that the Browns might move off a tackle for is Isaiah Simmons if he's actually available.
He's the winner of the Butkus Award for the best linebacker in the nation. Let's take a look at Kenneth Murray. Kenneth Murray out of Oklahoma. And there you see his bio, 325 tackles, 36 for losses. First team All-Big 12. That was just this past year in 2019. Then we go to Patrick Queen. Let's take a look what he is out of LSU. 6'1", 227, 85 tackles, 131 tackles in his career, 29 games, and 4 sacks. And that is Patrick Queen.
Yeah, I think the question is going to be what this regime does with joe-schobert. Right. Not that that'll stop them from drafting a linebacker. I just don't expect it to be a guy that they'd go after in the first round, a position they'd go after in the first round.
Would you keep Schobert?
I would. I mean, I understand he's got some flaws, but this is Andrew Berry was part of the team that drafted him here. I thought he had a good season last year. He made. People say, well, he makes a lot of tackles and he misses a lot of tackles. He also made some pretty big plays last year, and I think he's one of these guys that, if you're a new defensive coordinator coming in, you want him there. I mean, he's a real leader for this team, and yeah, I'd like to see them keep him around. Now, I don't know what the market is for him and whether
You think
he'd be
safeties are an
interested.
important thing to zero in on?
Absolutely, yeah. And for this team, I think it's, if tackle or offensive line is need number one, this is safety, I think, is 1A.
All right, let's take a look at some possible safeties. Grant Delpit, take a look at him, another one out of LSU, 65 tackles, 5 interceptions in 2018, and he was the Jim Thorpe, so you had the Butkus Award winner, now you have the Jim Thorpe Award, the best defensive back each season. So there you have it. Grant Delpit is a name to look out for, as is Xavier McKinney. McKinney out of Alabama. Yeah, how do you go wrong with Alabama, LSU, and Ohio State?
Yeah, no kidding. The guys you have to stay away from are the Justin Gilbert Award winners. You don't want any part of them.
He has an award? Wow. All right.
And to think that this organization drafted him without ever even talking to him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, they didn't want to give away the fact they were interested.
Yeah, well, that was well played.
How about Ashton Davis? Ashton Davis out of California. Now, he was injured. He's not going to run in the combines because he's got an injury that was sustained late November. But safety out of Cal.
Good size, too.
Good size guy. 6'1", 200 pounds. 216-575-0403 if you'd like to get in to talk to Bud Shaw. If you have some thoughts that you'd like to get to, we are all here for you. Explore your interests, find a program that puts you on a path to a bright future. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to try-c.edu, find out more information about Cuyahoga Community College. We'll come back in a moment. Mike Masetta from Nature Stone will join us. We'll find out what Mike is thinking and what you're thinking. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
If a piston makes it go, it's in this show. March Motor Mania takes over the 2020 Summit Racing Equipment IX Piston-Powered Autorama. March 13th, 14th, and 15th at the IX Center. Show cars, antique trucks, construction equipment, hot rods in the asylum, motorcycles, military vehicles, and themed car clubs. New for 2020, the Throwdown Monster Trucks, and the return of Fat Man's Invasion. With Euros, imports, sport compacts, and lowriders. Kids 12 and under are free. PistonPowerShow.com for details. Discount tickets on sale at Discount Drug Mart locations and Summit Racing Equipment in Talmadge.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Let's check out this date in sports history. February 24th, 1980, the United States hockey team wins the gold medal, beating Finland 4-2 at Lake Placid. It was 2 days after the huge upset over Russia. What are your thoughts looking back on that?
Just how quickly time goes by. I mean, that was, that was the
40 years.
One of the, landmark sporting events of my lifetime, and I was. I won't say how old I was then, but I felt young then. Well, just hard to believe that it went by this quickly.
And people think they saw it live on TV, and they didn't. It was I happened to hear it on radio driving somewhere.
Yeah.
And
a lot of other people think it was they won the gold when they beat the
right. No, they had to beat
Soviets, yeah.
Finland. And in fact, if they don't beat Finland, they don't even win the bronze.
Yeah, and I did a story on it where I talked to Ruzioni and some of the other guys on the team, Jim Craig, and I think it was probably for the 30-year. And when you start looking back at it, Les, it's even more remarkable. I mean, they played an exhibition game against that Soviet team and lost like 11-1 or something like that. I mean, this was like, the Globetrotters, losing to the Washington Capitals.
Right. Well,
I'm exaggerating, obviously, but
no,
it was crazy.
I'll never forget when Al Michaels had to choose between saying, do you believe in miracles? Or he was going to say, wow, it's Nature Stone. Mike Mussetta. Were you aware of that? That Al Michaels was jotting down notes during a break, and he says, okay, if they win, I'm going to go with either wow, it's Nature Stone, or...
I heard something about that, but I couldn't confirm it.
Right. Could you imagine that? I don't know if you guys are Howard Stern fans or not, but when he went to Sirius Satellite Radio, they had the technology to put his face on the moon, and he wanted that to be done. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing well. How are you, Les?
I'll tell you why you're doing well. It's spring training, which, by the way, will be a How Come Quickie in the next few days. How come most of spring training is in the winter? But that's a different story for another day.
Love it. I love it. Yeah, it's spring training, and Indians are 1-0, so that's great. I know they're up today, so we're good.
That becomes insurmountable if they win this one.
That's right. Yeah, we're 2-0 in the Cactus League.
That's good. I'll save this for another day. What are your thoughts on not the win yesterday and all, but how good does it make you feel that it's actually time for baseball?
Love it. Les, I'm a baseball guy, and I just couldn't wait for it to start up. And now that it's here, I really like their team. I haven't felt as good about an Indians team since 2016. I think their pitching staff is dynamite. I know they had a setback with Clevinger, but that'll be short-lived. He'll be back by May, and they've got the bullpen. They've got a lineup that can hit, that can put runs on the board, and they play good defense. So this is a really nice, really well put together team.
Mike, I haven't asked. I don't think Bud and I have talked about this, although we've had the opportunity to be in places where the discussion did take place. And that is, what does the Houston Astros situation do to you as a baseball fan or somebody interested in baseball? I'm having trouble dealing with it here. Maybe by opening day I'll be okay, but right now I'm not really happy with the game of baseball.
I don't like how Manfred has handled this, that's for sure. It's almost like he's just giving them a pass publicly and doesn't really care what the reaction is from the fans. Pete Rose said that this was worse than gambling on baseball. And I would tell you that I think it's probably right with it. It's probably right in the same level.
Ballpark.
I know that stealing signs has been a thing of baseball for years, and we teach our kids to do it if they are looking in at the catcher and they can see the signs. But to use cameras the way that they did, and this whole system of being able to tell. Giancarlo Stanton said if he had access to that, he'd hit 80 home runs, and I don't doubt it. Yeah. I think he's probably that good that if he knew what pitch was coming and where it was going to be, he probably could hit 80 home runs.
Yeah, and the incredible thing about that is, for people who don't understand baseball, they say, well, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is a 99-mile-an-hour fastball. If you don't have that information, you better be right when you guess.
Yeah, you have a split second to make a decision on whether or not to swing the bat, let alone where to swing the bat. And so, if you know where that pitch is going to be, and these professional pitchers, they can put the ball on a dime. So if that pitch is the fastball on the outside part of the plate, that's 99.9% of the time, that's where it's going to be. And it's worse than steroids, because the steroids can't hit the ball for you. All the steroids can do is give you the strength to hit it further when you do hit it. which is bad in and of itself. But when you know where the pitch is going to be at, you're almost swinging the bat for the batter. It becomes mindless at that point. You just know where it's at and go ahead and you swing the bat.
Mike, when you're
Bauer gave up a lot of home runs, and he attributes a lot of it to that.
Yeah. Mike, as you were talking, going over your thinking points there, Bud, if I looked at it correctly, was nodding his head on almost everything.
Well, the one thing I'm not ready to say that it's equal to Pete Rose. I think it's self-serving for Pete Rose to say that it's equal to what he did. But I do remember being at Tribe Fest, Mike, when we got Mike-Clevinger, and I thought it was worse than steroids, and I know he had said it was, and I asked him to explain to people why. And I thought his answer was great. He said, you take any pitcher in the major leagues right now and you give him a choice between facing Sammy Sosa in his prime or an average major league hitter who knows what the pitch is, they'll all want to face Sosa. So that'll tell you everything you need to know. I mean,
that's almost unbelievable.
It's a big advantage, obviously, when you know what pitch is coming. And he was, he is more adamant about this than most people because he and Bauer have been either privately or sometimes publicly talking about the Astros and the things they were getting away with for a while now, and he thinks it goes back. He thinks it goes back, a number of years, and he can't understand. I don't think that baseball suddenly just found out this. I don't know. Baseball's turned a blind eye to a lot of things over the years.
Well, you take a look at it and they're not going to vacate the championship, and they're not going to take the trophy away and whatever else. But the more I thought about it, the more I think that these guys 10 years from now, when they talk about a reunion in Houston for the championship, the World Series championship, I'm not sure any guys will show up because everywhere they go now, they're labeled as cheaters.
Yeah, well, I think Manfred's first thought was that the shame was going to be enough for these players. That first press conference, I think, showed otherwise because there was really very little contrition from those guys when it was left up to them.
No, but when they get booed and thrown at, that'll be different.
Well, it will be different, but I'm just saying that was his thought was, I need these guys to cooperate with the investigation, so I'm going to offer them what amounts to immunity. The agents are already saying the organization never told these guys about this memorandum about video surveillance, which is a really weak argument. But I think that's what he was hoping for, that the shame of it was going to be enough for them. And maybe eventually it will be, but I can see why baseball fans don't feel like it's nearly enough.
Mike,
right
you
now.
have a choice. I'll give you a ticket to the opening game of a 3-game series, Cleveland at home against Houston or Cleveland at home against the Yankees. Which one are you going to take?
I take the Yankees all day.
Because you've hated him for a longer period of time.
All day. Yeah, I gotta go watch that series. No, listen, I don't think that there's going to be any kind of fireworks. I think that the idea that there's going to be all these hit batters and things like that because of it is a little bit overblown. I don't see that happening, at least not to the extent that we think that it might. Baseball would never allow something like that. I don't think that it would trickle down to the umpires and they would put a stop to it. Yeah. But I do think that the Astros better play really well this year because if they don't, they're going to look even worse, and that's going to give a real black eye to what they were doing. They have no argument if they don't hit and they don't look like the Astros of old. They have no argument for what they did at all.
I've been saying my favorite players for the last couple of years have been Bregman and Altuve, and because I'm assuming I just like the way they play ball, but I don't know how much debit to take away from how they did it.
I think Mike makes a great point. I think that the way that the Astros could get beyond, I don't want to say beyond the shame because there's always going to be that cloud hanging over them. But if they go out and win their division handily and go back to the World Series, they at least will be able to, in their minds, say,
we're pretty good.
We told you that it didn't win us a World Series. It helped us, but it didn't win it for us.
Hey, Al Michaels just called. He said, why didn't you tell me that 40 years ago?
Well, another interesting point is that lawsuit that got filed against whoever by the kid. I mean, there's probably a lot of situations like that in baseball just throughout. You have a kid that comes up, he's sort of a cup of coffee kid that they're giving a shot to, pitches real well in a game, and all of a sudden he faces the Astros and he gets up 4 home runs and never sniffs the major leagues again.
Yeah, but I think they can come up with a whole bunch of examples of other pitchers who failed in certain situations. So I'm not sure how much one bad outing.
But that was Clevinger's point too, Mike. He was adamant about that some of his friends who have tried to make it and fell just short. He hates to think that they were put at a disadvantage when they had their big chance.
It's hard to know if they were or not, for sure. But I can tell you, if the sample size is a team that was not the Astros that you did well against versus the Astros that you didn't do well against, I mean that and I'm not saying that the lawsuit holds water or anything. I'm just saying that there's a lot of players that have had that happen to them over the years. Yeah. And if the Astros were involved, I mean, that you could have destroyed a kid's career, by doing what you were doing.
Here's what I wish Manfred had done. When Jim Crane, the owner of the Houston Astros, made the claim that he couldn't understand what advantage it would be, I think that Manfred should have just said, "Excuse me, Mr. Crane, that'll be another $5 million, please."
Yeah, but $5 million of that guy is a drop in the bucket. Yeah. I don't think that would have, vacating the World Series, would have been a very, very strong message. He tried to downplay that by saying that the trophy was just a hunk of metal.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
That was stupid. Yeah, it's much, much more than that. We obviously know that these players are giving their lives to win that trophy every year.
Here's the Stanley Cup. Don't worry about it. It's just a piece of metal.
Yeah, it's no big deal. I understand, why he said that, but it was in very poor taste, and so there's a lot more. But he could have vacated the trophy. He could have said we're looking at other options to punish them, and when we come up with the option, we will make it public. And sort of taking a little bit of the pressure off of them to get something done right away. Yeah. And there's a lot of things that they could have done that they didn't do. But it's unfortunate because I love baseball.
They could have made them all go watch Mike Hargrove tapes of him getting into the batter's box, getting ready to go.
Yeah. Hey, I wondered if when Manfred got married, he looked his bride in the eye and said, "With this piece of metal, I thee wed." Oh, you romantic, you.
That's good.
Michael, we got to go. Thanks so much, as always, for joining us. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Hey, you got it, guys. Thanks for the
time.
Mike. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There you go. Thank you, Michael. Well,
bye-bye.
That's Mike Massetta for Nature Stone. This is Les-Levine for Northeast Factory Direct. I've been talking about them for a while, but people ask me if they have cheap stuff. Well, the answer is no. You're going to save a lot of money and not pay as much as well elsewhere, but it's not cheap stuff. They carry high-quality name-brand furniture like Flex Steel, England, Klausner, and more. Alex also has 2 nice lines of furniture, custom furniture, great style selection, and many fabric options, and you can get quicker than that from the expensive stores. They also have Amish furniture made right here in Northern Ohio. You don't get higher quality than that, and it costs so much less at Northeast. Northeast Factory Direct also carries high-quality hot tubs, pool tables, and game room sets, all at Northeast Factory Direct, east, west, and south, with those great locations. But before you do anything, check out northeastfactorydirect.com. Sokolowski's University in Ohio is Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant, open 11 to 3 Monday through Friday and Saturday nights for dinner. There's no better place. I've been talking about them every day for 26 years now. People come up to me when they're there and they say, "Les, I've heard you talk about it for years. It's my first time here." And I say, "Sir, it's on you, not me. I got you there. You should have gotten there earlier, and now it's time to make up for that and get there more often." Sokolowski's University Inn. We'll come back in a moment with Bud Shaw. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get Nature Stone and never replace your basement flooring again. Your concrete is uneven, damp, and not healthy. Carpet and tile don't last, breed mold and mildew, and give worthless warranties. Nature Stone permanently corrects uneven concrete and is not affected by dampness or moisture. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, there are no hidden maintenance costs. Act now and save up to 50% with our volume discount pricing. Must be installed by the end of February. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line, a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino has sports betting. Use one of our 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet and watch your favorite games on one of our many HD televisions or visit our sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
Let's take a look at this date in Les-Levine history. Les is told Major League Baseball is going to experiment with a designated hitter rule back in 1973. Les thinks that the experiment won't last more than a year.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw with us. Tomorrow night we're going to have Dave Bacon from the Combine. We're going to find out some of his stats, find out if he has small hands, large hands, find out how...
He looks like he can still run, Dave. He looks like
my guess is he can still throw the football,
He's in pretty good shape.
I'm just looking through the some How Come Quickies. Some right on the edge, Bud. Right on the edge.
On the edge of interesting or on the edge of...
Just on the edge. I see John Patrick. I don't see Mr. Oh, there's Mr. Gullible hiding. Mr. Gullible and Mr. Oh, I can't think of his name. Sarcastic? No. Mr. Gullible and somebody else came to Sokolowski's last week.
Mr. Belligerent?
No.
No?
Starts with an S. Mr. Cynical.
Oh, that starts with a C, Les.
Oh, yes, it does. Does it really? Yeah. I just wanted to see if you were paying attention.
Yeah, sure you did.
So, what's your favorite Combine
drill?
Yeah.
My favorite Combine drill? My favorite Combine drill is when Rich Eisen runs the 40 in his jacket and tie and running shoes. He actually does okay, by the way.
How old would you think he is?
I don't know. He's got to be in his late 40s, early 50s. I don't know.
Do you have a...
That crack research team will tell us.
Well, this is the time of day before, as we get ready for the Quickies, which we'll get to in a moment. This is the day you and I discuss the critique of Curb Your Enthusiasm last night. Good one, bad one?
It was an excellent one.
One of the better ones.
Yeah.
And I think I've said that every week. That was one of the better ones.
It's pretty good. It's he's only got 4 or 5
Not
episodes
totally
left,
politically correct, I might add.
Really never is.
You know, you and I have seen every one, I assume, and you sort of think you know where he's going with it, and then he does a twist like you like in Quickies.
Well, you know, a few years back when I was still traveling with the Browns, I had a suitcase, and it was one of those that a roller that you could push ahead of you.
Right.
And Tony Grossi was greatly amused by that and thought between that and my hairline that I looked like Larry David when I was going through airports.
A little bit.
Yeah, thanks.
A little bit. All right. We have a Facebook question of the day, and there you have it. Who would you like to see? Would you like to see the Indians, or the NFL rather, with a 17-game slate? There you have it. Larry Pantages. I have it here somewhere. This is interesting. Everybody, all of the responses were no.
Larry's got an idea here. He wants not only a 20-game season for the NFL, but he wants a separate league with a 190-pound player weight limit, so fans can see more guys like Dino Hall and Ice Cube McNeil.
Do you remember those guys?
I do remember those guys.
Ice Cube McNeil.
I'm not sure I'm looking for a 190-pound league, though. But.
Dave Shoup, how about a touch football? Dave Shoup, not really. I'm good with what they have. That seems to be the theme here today. Let's continue on to the next one, and we'll find out.
16 games is plenty. The NFL says they're making the game safer for the players and add another game to the schedule. I agree with that. That's my biggest issue with it.
Glenn Berger has this to say.
16 games, right amount with all the injuries in the NFL. They want players to subject themselves to more injuries. Plus 9 away games and 8 home games just doesn't make sense to me, or however they split up the 17.
I like the way that the 16 thing works out with 2 byes given.
I know some Browns fans that I've talked to say, well, we give the Browns an extra chance to, to make the playoffs. And boy, that's been the holy grail here for a long, long time.
So they should keep adding teams until they finally eventually get to the Browns.
I just think that they happen to have a really good setup right now, I think.
I do too.
I think 16 games is
just enough for the
then
excitement.
There doesn't seem to be quarterback talent to last 16 games.
Right.
Because
somebody
of
gets
injuries.
hurt, that's the season right there.
So I don't know. I'm more in favor of keeping it the way it is, especially since they do claim to care about player safety.
We do this show from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time. If you can't get to us during the show time and want to leave us a message, you can do that. And that number you can see right there, 216-200-6650. Call and leave us a message and we'll get it on a future show. We'll come back in a moment. Bud Shaw getting his Sharpie ready to go on How Come Quickies. More Sports and Les-levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get Nature's Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Your concrete is cracked, uneven, and not safe. Paints and poly coatings don't last, are slippery, and give worthless warranties. Nature's Stone permanently corrects cracked, uneven concrete, eliminates slipping hazards, and is easy to clean. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, there are no hidden maintenance costs. Act now and save up to 50% with our volume discount pricing. Must be installed by the end of February. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature's Stone.
If a piston makes it go, it's in this show. March Motor Mania takes over the 2020 Summit Racing Equipment IX piston-powered Autorama. March 13th, 14th, and 15th at the IX Center. Show cars, antique trucks, construction equipment, hot rods in the asylum, motorcycles, military vehicles, and themed car clubs. New for 2020, the Throwdown Monster Trucks and the return of Fat Man's Invasion. With Euros, imports, sport compacts, and lowriders. Kids 12 and under are free. PistonPowerShow.com for details. Discount tickets on sale at Discount Drug Mart locations and Summit Racing Equipment in Talmadge.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
All right, Dave Bacon will be reporting from the NFL Scouting Combine. That's in Indianapolis. That'll be tomorrow night from 6 until 7 right here on cleveland.com. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted each and every day. Bud Shaw, the grader here. Let me just say something. 2 things about these How Come Quickies.
Okay.
Number one, it takes a while for some people. We've had consistent contributors for a long time. Mm-hmm. We get people who try it. Once they try it, they become addicted to it. I just want you to know.
Okay.
The other thing is, don't try to get it past our censors. Alex, you know I can't do this. Can I?
Since
Sibby,
you are the censor.
I really can't do this one, Sibby. Not that they're not funny.
Yeah.
But I just can't do it.
Yes.
Larry Hallowell, you ready for this one?
I think so. We'll see.
Okay. Oh, give us a quick rundown on how you grade. What you grade on.
Well, I I try to leave room, unfortunately, for the person that goes first. I don't want to give a 9-6 or something like that, and then if I hear one better, have to go close to a 10. So I try to leave a little bit of room for the rest of the field.
Know your voters.
And I have to not see it coming. If I see it coming, if it's a pun and it's a cliche and it's clearly visible to me, I downgrade.
How many points do you knock off on that?
It depends. Whether if I've heard it before, that's when I really take the marker out.
All right, Larry. Here's Larry. How come the firing of the CEO at Calamine Lotion was a rash decision?
Okay. I saw it coming.
8.5, but still good.
But I hadn't heard it before, so
yeah.
I'll.
So you added point. You took off, then you added.
I don't want to give everyone else. I want to give people hope, so I'll go.
Dave in North Ridgeville. He's new to the Quickie game, but he's giving it his best shot.
All right.
See, now he's coming in with 4. How come Quickies?
4?
How come I'm powerless without my charging cord?
Okay.
How come I would enjoy the Great Lakes Theater Festival much more if it weren't for all the drama?
Okay.
How come they don't call people who take care of chickens chicken tenders? How come
I saw that one coming, but go ahead.
How come I can't think of an electric joke currently?
All right.
So you're not grading like each one.
No, that group was okay. It was, again, I saw a couple of them coming, but I hadn't heard them before.
Here's one you didn't see coming. Toledo Mike.
I'll be the judge of that. Go ahead.
How come every time I ask what time it is, I get a different answer? Am I right?
Yeah. 8.8.
8.8. Stewart is now becoming, he's good now. Started out slow. How come Alex Van Pelt is playing hokey pokey with Baker Mayfield? You put your left foot in, you take your left foot out. Footwork. Boy, that was a nasty look you gave it. He says these Quickies are child's play.
7.5.
7.5. Mr. Gullible. How come male ghosts have trouble dating women? Because they see right through them.
Yeah, you know what?
8.8. 8.81.
8.81.
How come when I asked the party host for his finest scotch, he handed me a 12-year-old roll of tape? And last, to quote Johnny Carson, what do you got?
7 for that.
7.0?
I wasn't a big fan of it.
John Patrick.
This is the final one?
Finishes us off. How come whenever somebody approaches me, the first thing I notice is the audacity? You look like somebody... What do you got?
He's getting 7.0 too.
Oh, so you didn't even have to put up a new one?
No, I didn't
put
up a new one. So 8.81, I can't remember which one.
All right. It doesn't matter at this point. You're going on vacation.
But it was memorable to somebody.
You're going on vacation, but we are going to keep in touch with you. We'll Skype you. We'll find out.
Yes, I'm going to be.
You're going to be wearing a bathing suit at the time?
No, I wouldn't do that to anyone. I am going to be still writing for WKYC and .com, so I'm still going to be following what's going on here, and hopefully you and I will be speaking.
You got it. Have a great time.
And you'll say, wow, that was Bud Shaw.
Yeah, that's true. All right, that'll do it for us. We'll see you tomorrow night. We'll have Dave Bacon coming in from Indianapolis. And then Monday, the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff. Of all the shows I've ever done, this was the most recent.